What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. We got episode 17, Let's Be Real podcast. As y'all can see, we got Joey. He is in town, man, so we got him in person. So, man, look, like always, man, we're going to get into the NFL. We're going to get into some of the top headlines and then get into our top fives at the end of it, and then just a game we think y'all should watch this weekend. With it being Thanksgiving, we're going to do that a little bit earlier. And so, first of all, as always, man, look, we're going to start off with the wine. So I'm drinking the Olema. That's from Sonoma. It's a Cabernet. Joey's got the Mick Ultras. He ain't in the wine,
baby. All we need.
But, man, so the Olema's Cabernet, man, you're going to get some good, like, chocolate in there, wild berries. It's more full-bodied, as you know, Cabernet. This is the kind of wine that I love. So definitely worth a check. I've had some of it already, and look, worth the price. It's about $25. Definitely get it if you're looking for a good Cabernet. And so with that, man, look, we're going to hop right into it, man. NFL recap. So going over a couple of the last games this week. We're going to start off with the Vikings and Bears. And so specifically, so last episode I talked about it is
Right.
with the Bears, I think their playoffs are kind of done. Like
Fair.
playoff hopes probably like they can make it still, but
Division's a little tough.
Yeah. And so what I wanted to see is basically I wanted to see Caleb have a good game. Like I would have rather them, I think I said a 30-27 win where he throws 302 touchdowns as opposed to like or a 30-27 loss as opposed to like a 13-10 win where, he throws for 150. And so what do you think as far as like kind of just with the Bears, how they're looking? What do you want to see out of these last few weeks from them?
Really what you want to see is growth out of your quarterback. I think Caleb made some really high-level throws when you watch the All-22, especially in that fourth quarter. He had a couple of drives where he was throwing with anticipation over the middle. I think the first time I was on the podcast, I said those intermediate routes over the middle are a good sign of a quarterback's growth because you throw short, it's usually pre-snap. You throw deep, it's usually pre-snap. Throw an intermediate, it's a good test of like you're making reads and you're coming back over to what's open based off of what the defense has. And I think that he made some really impressive throws with anticipation and windows over the middle. So, I mean, I was high on him to win Rookie of the Year. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think that he showed that he is a quarterback that's going to continue to improve, as well as, the Vikings they're not a bad team.
No,
team.
I mean, and look, that Flores defense has been like, everybody's been high on it. Look, I mean, you had, who was it, Brock Purdy earlier in the season. Like,
I mean, he sends the house at you from really exotic looks. He sits in that, a lot of times they'll sit in that cover two and send crazy blitzes at you and make you make a read. So,
I
mean,
he
did that.
Yeah, I loved what I saw from him in the pocket. I mean, obviously he had a couple like those wow plays where you saw like USC, him getting out the pocket, just making throws that are just, very few guys can make. But no, so that's what I'm like. I thought that this game particularly for them was good because one, you get to see the growth from Caleb, right? Even in the loss, you get to see the growth. You get to see, like you're saying, him hitting those intermediate routes, showing why he was drafted number one. Also, part of it I think is a good loss because it just, again, you had just some bad coaching
which has
blunders.
Been a theme. It's been a theme.
Which I'm like, look, I think we talked about it that first episode where we talked about them is I thought they should have got rid of Eberflus, like fresh start with Caleb, because now he's going on. He'll have his second head coach, either his second or third OC, depending on if they keep who they got play calling. So I think just obviously good. It looks like they're probably going to be getting Eberflus out of there after this year,
right?
And you still get to see that growth. On the other side, though, Vikings, bro. Look, I've been skeptical.
Rewind the tape.
Look, and I like them coming into the year. I've been a little bit skeptical on Darnold just throughout the year because, obviously we have the history of the last, his career so far.
Right.
But then also just, he's had a couple weeks these last few weeks where it's like, ooh, could they contend with him or is he going to be good for being the problem there?
You know what's crazy about maybe 8-9 years ago, it'd be like, oh, no, it can't happen. But we've had Eli win chips. We've had multiple chips. We had Nick Foles come in and slaying it. I think that if the team around the quarterback can elevate the quarterback enough to win one chip, I mean, shit, I mean, look at Trent Dilfer.
Yeah.
I think he's good enough to win playoff games. If they come in, let's say they sneak a one seed and they get a bye, you win a game, you're in the NFC Championship. Anything can happen. I
Yeah.
think that if they continue to win in the regular season, put them in a position to contend for a bye, anything can happen. You have a crazy defense. You got crazy playmakers, and people sleep on Addison, which is crazy.
No,
Like,
he's a
he was
monster.
wide receiver of the year. What is sophomore year, junior
Yeah.
year at Pitt? So you have that as a number two. I mean,
Yeah, Aaron
dog,
Jones back there.
dog. They
they got weapons.
They can win games if the quarterback, if Sam can he can string two good games together.
Yeah.
You're in the championship.
Yeah, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that they get that one seed either. Like, they've got
There's
kind
a
of an
road.
easier schedule where, like, Detroit, like,
Yeah, they gotta play
Detroit
some
still
teams.
got some teams on their schedule.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I think from this last game, especially what really did it for me too is when obviously you go to OT, he's had a good game, but then like it was just he marched right down the field on him, like big throw, find him over, and so I'm like, okay,
you could play.
Yeah, I think he still has the possibility of getting that off game in a playoff game where it's like he throws 2 picks and you're like, well, this is we're back, but I think, I mean, he's always had the talent, but with that coach and with those weapons, like you said, and that defense, I think I do kind of put them in that like legitimate contender space now.
100%. And it's something I hoped for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Perfect, man. But look, we're going to stay NFC. We're going to move to stay divisional, but different division. We're going to go Cowboys Commanders in one of just the most wild games. As far as endings, I think has like in recent history. And so, look, you had obviously Commanders coming into this one, still playoff hopes alive.
For sure.
Needed a win really to kind of keep up with Philly. And look, I mean, it looked really bad to start.
Yeah.
But then you get the last 5 minutes. I think there was 38 points scored in the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah.
They started rolling, but kind of obviously some bad miscues, some big plays. But what do you kind of think about just the Commanders, where they're at after this game?
A lot of people want to. There is blame to go around on the offensive side of the ball, some of the play calls, some of the decisions, but teams win Super Bowls on all 3 phases. You can't blunder. You know you have the most dangerous returner out there in Turpin. You cannot blunder that and kick him the ball right down the middle. Like, that can never happen. Like, and that's how you lose games in the playoffs. It's like, oh yeah, we have this great offense, but people don't realize that you can certainly, as we saw this past weekend, you can lose games on special teams.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can have a great game plan. You can come out and execute, and you can ask the Eagles and Deshaun Jackson with the Giants. Like, you can blunder games just straight off special teams. And this is why the best teams execute on all 3 levels. And that's why you saw Belichick come out and be like, I mean, what are we doing? Why are we kicking to Turpin? Can you imagine a Belichick-led team kicking to Turpin? I mean, we would shank. I say we, but they would shank a ball 20 yards down the field, get it out of bounds before they smacked it to Devin Hester. Like, it's just not happening.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because it's funny you brought up the Deshaun one. So I wanted to ask you this, as far as somebody who's obviously like been on the field on special teams, things like that. Because Deshaun Jackson was another one where muffs the catch.
Yeah.
And so like it's kind of weird that now it's like, I don't know if that's just like a normal thing where it's like something about like
it happens,
muffing that and you get a big return out of it.
It's like when the Gunners are running down there and you see him muff, there's like that split second of like you let up.
Yeah, like, okay, bit. We got,
Yeah, or it's not even like, oh man, we got it. It's like okay, what's happening right now?
Yeah.
It's like, do I go for ball? Do I go for the player? Like, it's just
okay.
It's not as routine when you catch it and go, because that's already programmed in your mind. You catch it and now we're executing.
It's that split second of like indecisiveness.
It's that split second, and you could see in the spin move too. I mean, it totally broke everybody's containment angle.
Yeah.
And with the spin move, and people are like, why would you spin that early with no one there? I mean, that's a quick change. You're going 45 this way, and you're immediately going in the other direction. So I think that, and combined with the muff punt, it's like the coverage team is running down there and like, I mean, we're not practicing this. We're not practicing a muff that
Yeah.
goes to the goal line. He picks it up because they're probably thinking that too. It's a muff. It goes towards the goal line. It's like, is he going to pick this up? Or what are we doing
What's he
here?
gonna do with this?
Next thing you know, he's cribbing at 98 yards.
Oh man. So obviously, and then we saw what happened. Obviously, just throughout the whole. I want to talk about the first part of the game where clearly Washington, who first half of the season, offense looked dynamic.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing last couple games, whole 3.5 quarters of this game where they just can't get it rolling, and that kind of just repeat of Cliff Kingsbury consistently having that second half of the season where that offense just doesn't look as good. Yep. What do you kind of attribute that to, or is it just kind of it might just be bad luck, or
Nah, it's film. If you look at the Commanders, they throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage or within 5 yards or behind line of scrimmage more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only so many ways you can do that in a season. And once you do that a bunch of times, now it's on film.
Yeah.
So a lot of people overlook the power of film and the power of these defensive coordinators. You put so many things on film and then you try and go back to it in the second half of the season, it just doesn't have the same success. And Kingsbury's offense is not necessarily simple, but it's simpler than a traditional NFL offense.
Yeah.
So when you got it on film, there's ways to tell. There's things you can game plan around it. And there's also a mind game between the offensive coordinator. It's like, all right, I put this on film, now I'm putting this in. But ultimately, you're trying to get the same looks that you've always gotten. But you need to always be developing your game plan. And this has been a string where Kingsbury's offense will struggle in the second half of the season because you throw so much out there in the first 6 weeks, 7 weeks of the season, and then you try and go back to it, and those defensive players, they get paid too, and you're seeing it.
Yeah, it's almost to me almost like the opposite of I would say Andy Reid, where I feel like Andy Reid
is coming up with something every time.
Well, and it's like all regular season, I feel like he maybe pulls out one or two things where you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
But it's like it's almost like he just saves everything. Like he's like, we're gonna go vanilla offense because we can, do our thing. And then when the playoffs comes around, he's always got, as we saw in the Super Bowl, where it's like game plan when you need a touchdown. They run that some play where it's like they just get a wide open guy.
Yeah.
And so whereas like Kingsbury, you're saying is more so like I'm gonna show you everything I got.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Andy Reid's, but because he's scheming shots, situational shots. Kingsbury's offense, you're seeing a lot of get the ball out to our playmaker in space, and there's only so many ways you can mask that.
Yeah,
kind of what I'm seeing.
The big play they had was you got Terry, on like a 10-yard catch that he ends up housing. But so then when we're looking at, I'm going to leave the Cowboys out of it because I don't think either of us think they're primed to make a push to get to the playoffs, especially with Cooper Rush at quarterback. But when you look
technically, are they still in it?
Yeah, they are. They're still technically in it. Yeah, they can make it.
Okay.
And their schedule's not crazy. I just can't see them with Cooper Rush getting there. But other side of it, Commanders, obviously still in the playoff hunt. Mm-hmm. Do you think they get there, and can they win a playoff game against what we would, if we looked at it right now, with teams that are in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Is there anybody they can beat?
Yeah, for sure. You can beat the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is in there?
You got the Falcons right now, Seahawks.
They can beat the Seahawks.
And then you got NFC North. So you got Packers, Lions, Eagles.
It would be tough for them. Any given Sunday, but that would be a tougher matchup. So I think they can beat some of the teams that are in there. It's just like,
got it.
Do they have anything left to show defenses that is on film?
Yeah, perfect. Well, look, let's go to probably I would say the biggest game of the week, probably the biggest game of the week last week. Mm-hmm. And that's Ravens Chargers. So obviously playoff implications for them both. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start with the Ravens side of it. I've been big all year talking about it. I feel like they always have almost like an identity crisis as far as offensively. And to their credit, this game, I've always said all year, and maybe you've seen it, but if they get down 2 scores, 10 points, it's like they forget they have Derrick Henry and they're like, oh, this is going to be a Lamar. We're going to 35, 40 passes. And credit to them, this game, they didn't do that. But as far as best way for the Ravens to win, I think, is you got to have Derrick Henry touch the ball probably 20 times and
Yeah.
let Lamar work off that. But what do you see when you look at the Ravens as far as best ways for them to win? And do you also feel like they're like, oh, we don't really know who we are offensively?
I mean, I think that's where I fall into. I don't know who they are offensively. I think
Yeah.
that before the season, I was like, man, they might rush for 5,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But they do have explosive players. They got playmakers at wide receiver. They got playmakers at tight end. I think that their running threats are generational. I mean, it's something we've never seen
Yeah.
before. So it's like it's almost like they have so much to go around this one ball. They try. It looks like they try and stick with things that was in the game plan that works, and then if it doesn't work, they're like, let's keep with the game plan.
Yeah.
But I think at some point in time, and I think in the playoffs as well, what's going to happen is they're going to realize that, oh, okay, we need our players to make plays. And I'm totally in agreement. Derrick Henry needs to touch the ball at least 20 times a game.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a run-first team. Like,
Yeah.
get your Hall of Famer the ball.
Yeah. And I mean, when you look at it too, like that's when Derrick Henry is like the most dangerous. It's not those first 10 carries, it's those last 5 where it's like, and you even see it every game, it seems like, when it's like, oh, it's time to ice the game away, maybe they're up by 1 score.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry always seems to just break off a 45, 50-yard run to just put it away.
Yeah, I mean, you tackle somebody, 250, 260 pounds all game for 3 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on 3rd and 2, it gets a little cumbersome in the fourth quarter. Like, it's not fun. I mean, yes, all of them are professional football players, but I mean, it's not fun to take.
Well, yeah, he's a freak of nature as far as for what he's playing. Yeah.
Right. And then you throw in Lamar where you can run read option off of that. You can run naked off of that. You can run a lot of different stuff. I don't know, maybe they want to get it's completely speculation. I have no insight on this, but maybe they want to get cuter than what they need to be. I mean, you could pound the rock, run naked, get Mark Andrews out there, even hell, Isaiah Likely out there, and let him run. You can play off of that too. You run naked, same play action, same type of action to Mark Andrews. You got Zay Flowers over the top. So it's like, those are things you can absolutely do to build momentum on offense, but they got so many weapons. It's like, what's the game plan each week?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what also kind of led to this, and again, total speculation, but earlier in the year, it seemed like they went pretty run heavy, but Zay Flowers kind of came out with a comment that he was upset he wasn't getting touches early.
Oh, yeah, no, he was not getting touches early. And then he had a couple games where he was killing.
Yeah, and so it's like, I feel like as an OC, it's almost like you're really trying to like thread this line of like, right. I need to make sure I get these guys involved early, but I also need to make sure Derrick gets 20 touches.
Right.
So
and they were winning at the time. So that's another, like, players in the locker room need to manage that type of situation. Mm-hmm. Like, you're winning and then you're coming out in the media and saying, I need to touch the ball more. I don't know if that's a situation you want in the locker room. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the goal is the Super Bowl, not I need 6 catches this game.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so, look, flip side of that game, though, obviously, Chargers lose it. Where do you kind of view the Chargers? Because me personally, I'm like, I think they're probably a year away. Like, they need one more good draft with Harbaugh. Yeah. And I'm like, I think next year, they're going to be that team where it's like, like we could see them, I don't know about winning the division. You're in a division with the Chiefs, that's always going to be tough.
Yeah.
But like, probably a team I wouldn't want to play in the playoffs.
No, I completely agree because they're going to lean on you. They're going to run this 3 tight end sets, 2 tight end sets, pound the rock. I do think they're a year away of being an explosive offense because
they need somebody to catch the ball.
They need somebody to catch the ball. They need not only they need somebody to catch the ball, they need somebody to take the top off the defense. A lot of these teams aren't even worried about. I mean, we'll guard you one-on-one. Yes, they're going to hit some throws over the middle and they're going to hit some deep shots, but I would be shocked if any of those game plans of opponents are like, watch out for the deep ball. I don't think Herbert can get it there, and Herbert has an amazing arm. But I mean, you look at what's his name, Quentin Johnson,
man.
Look, I mean, it happens. Drops. Yeah, I mean, it happens. It happens. I will say it happens, but that is area for concern for next year. And it makes you worry about, what we can do explosively moving forward.
Yeah.
But other than that, I like them. I think you have a run first mentality. Defense is solid. Pass rush is okay. I think they should be solid.
Yeah, no, that's what I say. I think they've got the great like groundwork, especially with Harbaugh coming in, totally like changing.
Yeah,
Just
immediately,
yeah,
immediately change the culture.
yeah. So like you get a couple more playmakers, and yeah, I think they're scary next year.
Yeah, but you never know. You never. I mean, they're in a
Yeah,
position to make a
they
run
can
for it
still.
this
Yeah,
year.
they're still in the playoffs. And look, again, even this year, I wouldn't be as worried about them.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you know, if you get into a playoff matchup with them,
They
it's
could just
gonna
take
be
the
a
air out of
tough
the
game.
yeah, they
Yeah,
could take the air out of the football, and you lose a game 17-14.
exactly.
Right.
So no, I think like you said, still could do some damage this year, but I think next year is when they're really going to be like a legitimate
Yeah.
contender.
If there's no setbacks,
Yeah.
I think that I like the team. I like the trajectory of the team for sure.
Yeah, and look, we're going to stay AFC West with this, and so Chiefs Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of weird because I'm like, it's for me. I'm like the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Like after last year where they looked bad all year.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care what they do in the regular season as long as they win.
Same way.
Which is a little bit different from like what the Eagles for me last year, where I'm like, they looked bad and they were winning, but I'm like, this isn't good.
They didn't improve shit.
Yeah, this isn't good. And so, obviously, Chiefs defense lets Carolina hang up. I think it was like 27 on them,
something like that. Yeah.
And so, second bad outing for them. They got a banged up secondary, but kind of just when you're looking at the Chiefs, where do you fall with them? Because like I said, this game to me, I'm like, they beat Carolina 3-3. I don't really care.
Yeah, don't care.
But
I have no. They're fighting for playoff seeding on week 1.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about the way they win games. They've won in every single way possible. They've blown people out. They've come from behind. They've battled adversity. I'm not worried at all. When you get to the playoffs, let's say they get to the playoffs and it's one of those struggle games in the playoffs and they squeak one out, then I'm like, oh, all right. It might get a little hairy. But at any point in time, they can win. They can blow you out. They can put up 40, and they can win scoring 18. So I'm not worried.
And I mean, you even heard Mahomes. Obviously, he came out and was like, yeah, obviously we want to blow people out.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, but like being in these games like consistently where it's like we do have to come from behind, like, or we do have to make that last drive. He's like, that's only going to help us in the playoffs.
Right. They are the most situationally sound team I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, they have answers for every situation that they're in: offense, defense, special teams. And blocking what, 30-yard field goals per game?
Yeah. And no, look,
that's 3 phases right there.
Well, and I brought that up when it happened, whereas I guess so I saw later on there was like a full on like compilation of if you looked at the player because it was against Denver.
Yeah.
That guy had been getting blown up all year on field goals. And it's like that's what I said.
Rushed him.
And that's what I said on the podcast. I'm like, it's like you can say it's lucky that they blocked a kick, but I'm like, when you see it, I'm like, I guarantee you their special teams coach was like, this guy's been getting blown up all year. If we need one, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah. And that's the difference. That's the difference between booting the ball to Turpin and winning and staying undefeated. Like that, people don't really put those things together. Like special teams have the same amount of meetings as offense as defense.
Yep.
Like, they go over the same scouting report. They have the same type of meetings. And that's winning football. It's all 3 phases. And Commanders just aren't there yet. And you see somebody like the Chiefs who pay attention to those details every week.
Yeah. And so then with the Chiefs, obviously, and look, spoiler alert, we're probably not going to talk too much Carolina on this side.
Right.
Just a little bit.
Bryce looked fine. But
yeah, like, and I'm happy for Bryce because I thought he was done in Carolina. Well, yeah, and I wanted him to go somewhere, and like we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but Daniel Jones, like go to one of these great offensive coaches and like just get it going. But so with the Chiefs though, Mahomes, obviously they acquire DeAndre Hopkins. We haven't talked on the podcast since then.
Yeah,
but when you look at Mahomes' numbers since DeAndre Hopkins, he's like top 5 in most categories, top 10 in I think almost every passing category.
Yeah.
What does that kind of unlock for him? And then I have my theory with this, but if you look at DeAndre's snap count, he's sitting at about 50%
Of
and
the offensive
of
snaps.
the offensive snaps.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have like a theory behind that?
Yeah, he's an older receiver who they need if, they can't get production out of the other receiving core, they're going to lean on him heavily in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably getting him up to speed, and he's getting himself up to speed. And they want to, again, he's an older receiver, and they're going to need him to make a playoff push.
Yeah.
And Mahomes with the Hopkins connection, that's just somebody you trust. You know where he's going to be. He's a consummate professional, and he's been doing this for a long time. So when it comes down, you see it in some of the games, like crunch time, situationally, they're throwing at him.
Oh, yeah. And Mahomes even said it. He was like, I need to get better at just like giving him 50-50 balls.
Because
And
he's
it's like,
never had that.
and that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, and I've said it before, Mahomes has never had that guy where you're like, this might be a 50-50, 60-40 the other way.
Yeah.
But like with DeAndre Hopkins, he turns a 50-50 into an 80-20.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not to take anything from Tyreek. It's just a different.
It's not his game.
It's just, it's a different player. When you're talking about catch radius. With Tyreek, it's like, all right, if I can buy enough time to like send 160 yards down the field, he's going to go and get it. But it's like immediate pressure. We have a back shoulder fade to get a first down. Like, I'm going to throw it at that back shoulder. Yeah, it looks covered, but Hopkins can.
Yeah, if Hopkins gets his hands on it, he's got strong enough hands that it's like he's going to bring it in.
Yeah, you have a great shot. I think that's what he meant by like, I got to get.
Yeah,
I got to get more opportunities to win one-on-one.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with you. I think it's twofold. I agree with you as far as with his offensive snap percentage. I think it's one, like more so even just like getting much. I think he's probably at this point more up to speed
for sure.
But also just like older receiver, like you're gonna those other guys are gonna have to make catches during the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So getting some trust in them, keeping him somewhat rested while still like playing,
right?
But also one of the stipulations of the trade with D-Hop was if he plays over 60% of offensive snaps, the fifth-round pick becomes a fourth-round pick.
I didn't know that.
So that was the thing. And so
a little bit of collusion?
I'm not saying it, but...
Get him. FBI, get him.
Look, I'm just saying, like, if I'm the Chiefs, if I can keep winning and keep his snap count under 60%, so I keep my fourth-round pick instead of giving up and... to me it makes sense.
I won't confirm the theory, but I will say there has been, it's on the internet. There has been times where people do the opposite and teams do the opposite to get you your bonus.
Yeah.
So why it's not out of the realm of possibility to do the other one.
Yeah. You know what I mean? If we can win and keep that under and keep our fourth instead of having to give it away.
And it doesn't hurt the player. You know what I mean?
He's getting the rest. Like, I think it's a win for everybody.
Yeah.
But so I wanted to kind of see what your thoughts were on that.
I would not be surprised if that is going on at all.
Perfect. So look, and then another big game, big playoff implications. Eagles Rams, man. And so, one we're going to start with this because everybody basically knows how I feel about Sirianni.
Yeah.
And so. Here's my question to you: is the Eagles, as they are, obviously with this amount of talent, you're thinking NFC Championship at minimum. We should be in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think losing in the NFC Championship, all of Eagles fandom would be disappointed.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think the only team you could maybe do it to. Obviously there'd still be disappointment, but if you lose to like the Lions, who have just been
on a tear,
obliterating everybody this year, then I can get it. But can you see the Eagles overcoming Sirianni as the head coach to get to and or win a Super Bowl?
Well, I could be wrong, but didn't Sirianni give up his play call?
Yeah, allegedly.
Right.
Granted, it's you hear conflicting reports, but he doesn't do play calling. Mm-hmm. He's not as in charge as far as going for it on fourth down or not. Usually kind of, they just leave that up to the analytics guy. Mm-hmm. But then you also he comes out and says for big spots, I'll make the call. And so really from what I've heard, it's anytime like game on the line kind of things,
It's on him.
it's his call. And then any kind of like obviously clock management,
Right.
things like that, like are on him.
I think that. Well, I think you can win a chip with him as your head coach for sure. I mean, the talent you have on the roster. But I do think that if they do win a chip, I think that secures him for another couple of years to be the head coach.
Yep.
Sure. Just because, like, has there ever been a head coach that got fired
after winning a Super Bowl? I don't think so.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't think so.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, it would shock me.
I don't think. I don't know. I don't think he's a bad coach. I just don't know if he's the right coach for the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's a bad coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then when we look at it, obviously take coaching out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're, let's say you're game planning playoff game against the Eagles, how do you beat them?
I'm pretty sure most high-powered, talented offenses, it's similar to ball control, clock management, keep the ball out of Hurts, Saquon's hands, and you gotta make red zone opportunities count. I'm telling my team, threes lose us the game. You know, if we're getting in the red zone, we're getting 3. That's losing football.
Yeah.
I'm taking a little bit more chances in the 40 to 40 area on fourth down to get us in scoring position. But that's kind of the message I'm driving home that week or that 2 weeks as I'm preparing. It's like we need to go on 7, 8, 9 minute drives.
Yeah, just to limit that.
Yeah, and we need to pound the rock and we need to get in for 7 instead of 3s because we'll end up losing. I mean, you give them a chance. Because you give them a chance, all of a sudden it's 4th and 1, 4th and 1.5. I mean, they're taking it. So.
Yeah. Oh, well, and that's the thing is I was going to say is the Eagles, when they get to that 40 to 40, anything inside of probably like 3 yards,
they're going for it.
They're going for it.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to match that.
You have to be able to match that, and you have to win time of possession. You can't turn the ball over. And that's that's really the game plan for a lot of high-powered teams.
Yeah.
Get the ball out of their hands and control the clock.
Yeah. And so when you're looking at it, so like let's say you're a DC.
Oh, how my game plan
is. Yeah. What are you trying to do here? Because me personally, like, and look, I love Hurts. And the receivers are crazy.
I think I know where you're going.
But I think as a defense, you gotta stop Saquon.
100%.
Like that's I'm loading the box, and I'm like, if Jalen beats me by throwing 350 yards,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I'll live with that before I let Saquon run for 250 and.
Yeah, that's. I think that's the game plan as well because it's like not as many bad things can happen for them handing the ball off and running it as opposed to putting the ball in the air. So I would stack the box. I'd make sure Saquon isn't comfortable. I'm hitting him a lot.
Yeah.
You know, even when he's taking fake handoffs and stuff, we're hitting him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and we put the ball in the air. I mean, if you're gonna throw 500 yards,
it's just what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. We lost the game.
Yeah, but
I'm not getting toted on.
No, I'm not gonna let Saquon just run me to death. Okay, perfect. And so, other side of the football, obviously, Rams. They were a team. Personally, I was like, I thought they were going to be the team that came out of the NFC West,
right?
And still a shot for
it,
but
happen,
yeah. I mean, because we look at it, they have Saints, Bills, Niners, Jets, Cardinals, Seahawks. And so, kind of like you got some easy ones in there. Like, should beat the Saints, obviously. Bills, tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Niners depends on kind of health.
Yeah.
But then Jets, Cardinals, Seahawks. I mean, to me, I'm like, your destiny's in your own hands.
Yeah, you got to win.
But, what do you think? Do you see them getting in?
No. I don't because in a division where you have the Seahawks and the Cardinals, I trust the Seahawks a little bit more than the Cardinals, but I think the Cardinals are a more high-powered team. And it could go either way. I'm saying I trust the Seahawks more than the Cardinals, but I think in random Sundays it flops.
And that's my thing is I look at the Seahawks and I'm like, they're just like especially with like Geno, he's just so like hot or cold. Like you might get 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, or you might get 150 yards and 2 picks.
Right. And there's also times with the Rams where you're looking and you're like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
how are we moving the football here? And then you have times, I said this last week about Kyler Murray. I'm just waiting on him to be amazing. I've always been. I mean, he is amazing. Rookie of the year.
Yeah,
he is amazing. But I'm waiting for him to string together 5-6 weeks in a row of just supreme, because he's got it in him.
Yeah.
And I think when he takes that step, oh man, I think the sky's the limit. You got nothing but weapons. You got a great defense. I'm waiting for Kyler to have that this is my division type of year.
And it's funny. So I'm kind of the opposite. I think, but one of the points you said, you were like, I trust the Seahawks more than the Cardinals. It's weird because I trust the Rams more than either of them. When I look at coaching, like quarterback, still got the weapons, which is why I think they end up sneaking in, because I think they beat the Cardinals and Seahawks to end the year.
Yeah.
To kind of just sneak them in, which I hope so, because I think the Rams, I could see the Rams winning a playoff game before the Seahawks or Cardinals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think maybe a hot take. I don't think the Rams make it. And I think I'm holding out hope. Quote me on this. I got the Cardinals winning it.
You got the Cardinals winning it?
Cardinals winning the division. Maybe it's hope, but you know.
No, look, I think it's going to come down. And granted, again, just it depends on what the Seahawks do. Obviously, they kind of control their destiny at first place.
They'll choke it.
That's what I'm thinking. And so I think it's going to come down to Rams-Cardinals in that week 16, 17, whatever it is, second to last game of the year.
Yeah.
But where it's Rams-Cardinals, I think winner of that probably wins the division.
Yep. Yeah.
And so, but, yeah, man. So, look, obviously that's the recap, top games. And so move on. Let's go to just kind of topics kind of going into this week and then the rest of the year.
Yep.
And so we're gonna go back NFC. Mm-hmm. When you look, we obviously talked about the Eagles, but when you look Eagles or Lions, who do you think is the biggest or like the most dangerous team in the NFC?
But I mean, before last week, I'm saying the Lions, but the way Saquon can take over a ball game kind of swayed my decision. Mm-hmm. And now I'm thinking like, let's say the Eagles get the 1 seed, and you're going through Philly to get to a Super Bowl. Saquon is more valuable because it's cold. It's probably going to snow. Saquon is not someone you want to tackle for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Now let's say the Lions get the 1 seed and they're in a dome.
Yeah.
And they that crowd is rocking. They know how to play there. I think if the Lions win the 1 seed, it's tough to knock them out. But at the same time, the Eagles, if they go into Detroit, you never know. I mean, Saquon could go off for 400 all-purpose yards.
Yeah.
I think they're both extremely scary. Like, if you don't show up to play the Lions well, they beat you by 30.
Oh, yeah, no. I said that last week. I'm like, if you're a team that isn't like if you're a bad team or if you're a team that comes in and you're not 100% locked in,
you lose by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, the Lions will ram it down your throat. Yeah. Like, they don't care.
Yeah, probably not. Yo. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a tough game for sure.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. But no, so you're saying Eagles more dangerous or just depends?
I think it totally depends. I think that's the NFC Championship game I want to see.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean...
Well, okay, so then let me ask you, could you see it being any other NFC Championship game? Like, could you see one of those teams losing earlier than the NFC Championship?
Yeah, for sure. I could see whoever doesn't get the bye losing.
Really?
I could, for sure. We've seen crazier shit in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I can see anybody lose. I mean, you have... yes, yeah, 100% I could see them losing. Whoever's in that 2 seed that plays the first week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, and to me, obviously, like you said, like, we've seen crazier stuff happen. But to me, I'm like, this is probably the only year where I'm like, if, like, the 2 seed was to lose, prior to the NFC, I'm like, you choked it away. Because I feel like the Eagles and the Lions are just so much better than any team they would play. I mean, you could maybe say the Vikings, maybe.
Well, I mean, that's a scary squad, man, because that defense is it's good.
Yeah.
So it's like I mean, how many times have we seen in the playoffs, you're like, oh, man, this team's going to win, and you're watching the game, and you're like, they're not pulling away. They're up by 3.
Yeah.
They're down 4. Fourth quarter, 4 minutes left, they're down 2.
Yeah, and they
make a mistake and lose the game. Yep. Like, that happens all the time. So it's like, it's hard for me to say in the NFL. It's easier to say in college because it's like that team is way better than the other team.
Yeah. At the end of the day, all these dudes are getting paid, and they're all in the playoffs.
They're all elite.
Yeah. No, I mean, so I kind of agree with you as far as most dangerous team is whoever has that home field.
For sure.
But I think, like, obviously your Saquon point, I think the Saquon thing is kind of washed because I also feel the same way about, like, David Montgomery for the Lions. Like,
and
another
Gibbs,
dude you just...
Gibbs?
Yeah, and Gibbs, like, just guys you don't want to tackle if it's snowing outside and it's, 5 degrees.
But then what we do see, Goff will give you the ball.
That was my thing.
Goff's going to give you the rock.
Goff in Detroit in a dome, I feel like is so much better of a player than if Goff has to go into Philadelphia and it's cold and it's snowing. I'm like, he's good for a fumble and 2 picks.
Yeah. But the game where he had, 5 of them? It was in a dome.
It was in a dome. Look, I think that was more of an aberration. But I think with just the type of quarterback he is, like when you get him in a cold game that's outside.
You're saying he turns into Tua?
I'm not going to say to that degree, but I think it's similar. I think just because, I mean, one of the big knocks on him was hand size coming out of college.
Oh, man.
And look, for better or for worse, you get in snow. I mean, you could attest to this.
It's a little slippery, man.
Yeah. So I don't know if I could trust Goff in Philadelphia at that time of year.
But, I mean, to your point, they may not have him be a hero.
Yeah.
They may just be like, all right, running backs.
Yeah, it's going to be heavy.
Knuckles is what they call him. Yeah. It might be heavy. And that line.
Yeah, no, that O-line is insane. But and so this is where I kind of felt
strength on strength.
And that's where I kind of felt with this. I'm like, when I looked at every aspect, I'm like, okay, O-line, Detroit probably has an edge, but like Phillies is top tier.
When they lost Brandon Graham.
They did lose Brandon Graham, which hurts. Mm-hmm. And my biggest thing was, so the real like thing that kind of separated them from me was on the D line, Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Like, because Hutchinson went out, the Lions don't have a guy that can like beat a double team and get pressure.
Yeah.
And then the secondary, like that Lions secondary. Look, I've been very critical of the Eagles secondary.
Yeah.
But this last, 2 months, month and a half, they've been
better, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the Lions are their secondary plays really aggressive. So depending on what type of refs you got.
Yeah, and against those receivers too, it's just you play aggressive, like
you could get hit over the top of the
head. Yeah. So I'm
a good watch though. I hope that happens.
So personally, I think for the best game in Detroit would be the best like game to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a big. I get it. Traditional football.
Yeah, I don't want to see 60 rushes in the game.
No, dude. I want to see. Give me perfect weather. No wind. Who's winning football? I don't care about 20 degrees. Snow's coming down. That's real football. No, it's not.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
It's not real football. You're just running around in the cold.
Yeah,
shit sucks. I want to see real ball.
No, absolutely. That's how I am. I want to see, like you said, perfect conditions because that. I feel like that's the true testament of like who's a better team.
Right. Everything is at your disposal.
Yeah.
You don't have 60-degree swirling winds. I can't throw the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Oh man. Okay, so look, we're gonna stay as far as in like this playoff mode because obviously that's kind of where we're getting. But we already talked NFC West. Let's talk NFC South. And so obviously Falcons in the lead right now. Mm-hmm. pretty sure they hold the tiebreaker. I think they beat the Bucks twice now.
They did.
Yeah, so they hold the tiebreaker. But who do you see coming out of that division?
Because of the tiebreaker, the Falcons, but I'm still holding out hope for the Bucks because I was on camera.
Yep.
And
Look,
I
you did.
put
You
them
said
in
it.
my top 10.
You did.
I did. And I still hold that because right after that was when the two receivers went down, Godwin and Evans.
Yep.
Baker was on his way to do something special, and I'm not going to sit here and be, oh, what if? But he's still holding his own and keeping him in it.
Look, I've given Baker flowers, I think, probably like the last 4 weeks of episodes.
He should
because
keep
look,
getting flowers.
No, man, because they should not have been in any games with, like, when you look at the weapons that he had. And he was, even in their losses, he was keeping them in games they had chances.
Yeah, man.
And so I think the Bucks are going to end up taking this division.
That's hard, though, because if the records end the same, it's close. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but because I think Falcons are 2 wins ahead right now in the standings.
I was just about to say 1, but they're 2 even worse.
Yeah. To me, I feel like the Falcons all year haven't shown me that they can, like, even have a winning record out the last half of the season, like this last part of the season, where I'm like, I think the Bucks might win out.
Yeah, so they're a game ahead right now.
Okay, a game ahead. I think the Bucks might mess around and win out, or like maybe lose 1 or 2 more.
If they do win out, they're in. But the shitty part is if it goes.
Tiebreaker.
They're so close in record right now.
Yeah,
so it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're 1 game back, but you're technically 2 because of the tiebreakers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, I don't know. Record. I was high on Atlanta coming into the year, and I have just so cooled off on them that I just think they're gonna choke it away.
Yeah, for sure. I've been saying, man, when we were talking about like, oh man, who is it, Bucks or Falcons? I was like, I don't trust the Falcons. I know it's not the same team at all, but 28-3 sticks around. It stinks. It stinks, and it's
just integrated into the team.
It's in that city. I know it is.
It's in the stadium, the city.
Man, it stinks, dog.
Oh man! All right, so you got the Falcons still taking the division though?
I do have the Falcons because of that tiebreaker.
All right, and we're gonna go one more prediction. So obviously we had our initial, like, to start the year prediction of MVP. I gave my halfway through the year predictions a couple weeks ago, but
I don't remember who I said as MVP.
As MVP,
I don't remember.
Man,
did I say an MVP?
Yeah, you gave an MVP and a dark horse MVP.
Do I remember the dark horse MVP?
I think your dark horse might have been Baker, actually.
Come on, baby.
but anyways, I'll check it.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. But MVP right now, who do you have for the rest of the year? Who do you think takes it?
All right, so who do I think this is going to be maybe a long-winded answer, but I really want Lamar to win this one because he's been in the league, 7 years?
Mm-hmm.
So hear me out.
Okay.
If he wins an MVP this year, it's 7 years. That means pretty much every other year he wins an MVP. Yeah. Now, take it a step further. Let's say he wins a Super Bowl. And then we assume he wins Super Bowl MVP. That's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah,
he could retire at the end of the year that he's a gold jacket right now.
He might even without a Super Bowl.
If he wins another MVP. If he wins another MVP, I think
3
he's a
MVPs
lock.
Is like...
Yeah, that's crazy. I think he's a lock for the Hall, but maybe not first ballot. If he couples that with
a Super Bowl win, Super Bowl MVP.
I mean, because I want to see that. So I need him to win an MVP this year. Realistically speaking, Saquon rattles off another 200, 300 yards in a game. It's going to be close.
Okay, so I want to touch on your Lamar point first.
Okay.
Do you think he gets points taken off because he's got the two MVPs right now, and we've seen him in the playoffs?
You're talking about voter fatigue?
So I'll equate it to like basketball, right? Like, so Jokic you have I'm not gonna say Jokic because he's got the chip, right?
Yeah.
But like say an Embiid, say Embiid had 2 MVPs, but his playoff resume, where it's like can't get to a conference finals, and we consistently see him underperform in the playoffs. Whereas like in basketball, normally unless he just had just a year of just ridiculous numbers, the voters would be like, oh, we've seen your playoffs. The regular season, we know.
That's the part that kind of like irks me a little bit because if it's
A regular season award?
Yeah, if it's a regular season award, fucking judge it based off the regular season award.
Yeah.
If it's a culmination of playoff history and regular, call it something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just make it simple. If
Yeah.
it's a regular season award, judge it off.
Who's got the best regular season?
Right.
Year?
Like,
yeah.
we don't need you to be superheroes and,
yeah,
we're the playoffs.
Well, yeah, and again, like, I'm not as versed as far as the NFL MVP, but I know when you look at, like, the NBA MVP, like, you even saw the 1 year that Embiid did win it, where Jokic was, like, it would have been his, like, third in 4 years or whatever, and they were like, well, like, a lot of, and like I said, especially with the NBA, I'll talk about that because I know that more.
Yeah.
They're very particular about, like, oh, well, if we give him, a third, then now he's in this class of player, like he's with Kareem, LeBron.
Yeah, I hate that
shit. And it's like, they're like, can we do that? Is he that type of player yet? I don't know if the NFL is, like, that much into it, but
I don't know either.
3-time MVPs, I'm assuming there's probably not a ton of them in the NFL.
There isn't, but that's the part that's annoying. It's like, stop looking at historical data for a present time regular season award. I can't stand that because it's like, oh, we want to protect the integrity of those who came before. Don't give a fuck. Like, judge it based off the merits that are actually happening right now. I will still respect the legends of the game. I'll still respect a Terrell Davis. I'm still going to respect a Randall Cunningham because he won one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still going to respect those players, but don't take the present away because you want to hold something near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, I think it becomes difficult when it's like you look at, like, I'll use, let's say Jordan 4 MVPs, right? Regular season. I think it's 4.
Yeah,
I think it's 4. But, like, say, you have Jokic now, who's, like, clearly the best player in the league. Like, say he gets, like, 6 regular season MVPs. Now it's like one of those things where it's like the voters like, well, we gave him 6. Like, is he better than Mike? Like, that's where all that stuff comes in. It's like, because obviously Mike should have had way more. Right. LeBron should have had way more. But it's like, it's like, do they try to, like, stick with, like, the historical precedent that was set, or do you just be like, hey, that's how it used to be? Yeah,
if you earned it, you earned it. I don't give a shit. I still remember what Jordan was like. I still remember, like, and if you don't remember, watch film. Like, don't sit here and try and, like, mastermind Dungeons and Dragons. Like, no, dude. Yeah. Like, just give it to the person who wins it.
Yeah. So going back to it, though, do you think that plays a part in Lamar this year?
Unfortunately, it does.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think it does. But it shouldn't.
Yeah. No, I agree. I also agree with you. So my pick right now is Saquon. I think it's
not ridiculous.
So he's on pace to break 2,000 yards.
Is he on pace to break the record?
I think I think his pace right now, he's on pace to do, like, 6 yards more than the record by Eric Dickerson. Yeah.
If he breaks
the record, he's got to take it.
That's yours.
He's got to take it, right?
Because that's insane.
And, like,
we never thought we'd see that.
Yeah, no. Especially in today's game where it's like...
We talked about that.
Yeah. Especially in today's game where it's just, like, there's so much less of an emphasis on, like, running backs.
Which will change.
Yeah.
100%. As long as you put 2 safeties back there, I'm going to pound the rock.
Yep.
But I think that's crazy. If he breaks Eric Dickerson's record, you got it.
And I also, look, his numbers as far as touchdowns are going to be lower. Bro, I think I saw something where it was like, there's been like 8 or 9 times where Saquon has gotten the ball within, like, the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
And then Jalen Hurts scores the touchdown on the tush push.
Oh, I know.
And I'm like, I'm giving him at least partial credit for that.
It's horse apples.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to give him at least one chance to get in the end zone.
Exactly. And I get it. Like, if you're the Eagles, like, you have a proven method that's like, we're going to score on it.
I get it.
But at the same time, I'm like, I'm taking some of Hurts's rushing touchdowns away because Saquon did the heavy lifting.
He got us there. It was like the old Thunder and Lightning with CJ2K and Lindell White. But no. If he breaks the record,
it's got.
If it gets close.
Yeah.
If he gets close,
I mean, I think if he goes over 2,000,
you got to give it to him.
I think he gets it. And I just think the Eagles, the way their offense has been working lately, as far as Saquon heavy with kind of limiting
Yeah.
Hurts's like throws, I think it's just he's primed to do it.
Quick question. I don't know off the cuff. CJ2K, did he win MVP when he went over 2K?
No.
Who won it that year?
Um.
Because that was what, 08?
Yeah, I heard it the other day because I was watching one of the shows and they said there's been,
Oh, was that the
I think it was Peyton maybe.
I was just about to say, was that the Peyton 50 touchdown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Or
been
Drew Brees?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was Peyton. I don't know. We'll check. But I saw a guy mention it the other day. There was 4 running backs who've gone over 2,000 yards. None of them will win MVP.
That's crazy. What, Jamal Lewis, was he one of them?
It was something like Dan Marino had a crazy year one year. Somebody did it.
Yeah.
Peyton had a crazy year. Somebody did it. And so it's like there's always been like some like massive quarterback
Yeah,
here.
crazy quarterback.
So, but that's the thing is like this year I don't see a crazy quarterback.
Yeah,
like
this
Lamar's
isn't
got
bad.
numbers, but it's not like we
Well,
haven't seen this before
yeah.
kind of year.
What has he got? Like 2 picks or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Some great. He's really efficient, and he's got like 80 win percent. But yeah, again, if
and especially if he gets a rushing record, I think this year if he gets the rushing record, doesn't win MVP, I think it almost solidifies the fact that they're like MVP is a quarterback award.
Yeah.
Offensive Player of the Year is an anybody else award.
Well, you know, people are going to try and take away from Saquon. Ooh, one more game.
Yeah.
Because if he gets it by 6, they're like, oh.
Yeah, you had an extra game. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. But,
But still.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, different eras.
If that's what you say, get out there and
run the rock. Yeah, you get back there.
Get out there and give me 5 yards. Go play the Vikings defense and give me 5 yards off the gut. 32 dive.
It's a 32 dive.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man. All right, and then last thing we're going to touch on, man, obviously news today, Daniel Jones to the Vikings.
I think that was a great move for him.
So we were going to originally talk about just Daniel Jones, like where should he go? I think
the Vikings would have came up.
So I think I talked about it when it first happened was I had mentioned the Niners, the Vikings, the Dolphins, and the Niners. The Niners, Vikings,
Raiders,
Dolphins.
Maybe?
Well, so the Raiders is actually one that I guess they had offered him.
Yeah, but they were like, your team sucks.
And they said if you come in, you're starting.
And he was like, yeah, but you guys blow.
Yeah. Really? So I was basically like, go to a McVay, go to a Kyle Shanahan. Oh, Rams. That was the other one I was going to say.
Yeah.
Rams. Or anybody from their tree.
Mm-hmm.
So like him going to the Vikings, obviously Kevin O'Connell is, I think, McVay's tree.
Yeah. I don't know. I think so.
He's one of them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's McVay. But anyways, yeah. So to me, and like I'll say what I'm thinking and then agree, disagree, build off of it. But when I look at it, to me, what this says from the Vikings' point of view is they're probably not going to bring Darnold back.
Oh, really? You think that?
I think so because I think they're going to have – it's going to be Daniel Jones.
They're not locked into DJ's contract.
No. But I think what it's going to be is they're going to give Daniel Jones the Sam Darnold thing they did this year. Is
like the trial quarterback?
Yeah, like Sam – because whatever happens, Sam is going to get – because – the quarterback draft this year is a lot worse than initially anticipated.
Right.
And so you're going to have teams like the Raiders. Obviously, the Giants aren't going to do it because they just got rid of Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. But there's, I think, 4 or 5 teams that are going to be in the market for a quarterback. And realistically, coming out of the draft, you've got probably Shador and Cam Ward.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a couple teams that are looking for a quarterback. I think they're going to outbid what Minnesota's willing to give Darnold. And so I think with that, you probably have Daniel Jones come in on a prove-it deal. Mm-hmm. JJ, him, you guys fight it out for the starting role.
Yeah, see
what happens.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it was a good decision by him, obviously, because it was his choice.
Yeah, it could go anywhere he wanted. Like I said, turn down a starting job with the Raiders because
you're throwing to a Hall of Famer and a really great too.
Yeah.
So, I guess maybe not a Hall of Famer. He needs to do that a little bit more, but on a
JJ?
pace, on a pace to be a Hall of Famer. Yeah, I think it was a great move for him. You're on a good defense, great defense, so you don't have to be Superman to win games.
Yep.
If you do get in, you got a great system, great QB guru for a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I saw it and I was like, smart.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
No, solid. Like I said, solid pick.
Like a true Duke quarterback.
And the one thing I'll give him too is like where he went as far as NFC North.
Yeah.
Obviously, like
Well, it's a hell conference.
It's a hell conference, but like when you're in that division, you have to be like big enough to throw in bad weather.
Yeah.
And so, like, obviously, if you went to Miami, right? Like, yeah, you might get to start, but a lot of people, as we've seen with Tua, you get in Miami, you can look a lot better than you can in 30-degree weather.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think like show what you can do in playoff type weather.
Yeah.
With a coach like that, I think that was a real good pick for him.
I agree.
Perfect, man. And so that's good with the topics. And so now we're just going to go to the look ahead as far as the games we got coming up. So obviously we're talking about Thanksgiving and then this week. Mm-hmm. Start off Bears-Lions.
I think the Lions have a chance to beat the brakes off the Bears because it's a team that if they don't come correct can lose by 21.
Yeah. Well, and that was going to be my question. Like looking at this game, do you think the Bears can keep it close? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, winning is a different thing, right?
Yeah.
But can they keep it close, and can Caleb look good in this game?
Yes, I think they can keep it close. Well, I mean, what's close? How much you losing by?
10. I think the line. I think the line on it is actually 10.
Yeah. So in the NFL, a 10-point line means you're getting blown out. Like that's what that is. Usually,
I'm saying you're within. So like, let me put it this way, like because I feel like with a -10, you're always like we're down 17 and we get a garbage time touchdown kind of thing.
That's a blowout in spread terms.
But say like let's say they stay within 2 scores the whole game.
For sure they could do that. Usually an NFL game is within like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can definitely do that because of Caleb. Mm-hmm. I think that he'll keep you in a game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Lions can snowball you real quick.
Oh man, yeah.
They can snowball you. But I think that would be a fun game to watch. I think even though the record doesn't indicate that the Bears are good,
yeah, they
have weapons.
Yeah, and then they've got momentum building and everything. Mm-hmm. So I think this is going to be kind of a big game for Caleb as far as like you're playing on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like this is a chance where you're going to have it's going to be one of the biggest games of all the NFL season. Like you got to go out and show what you can do.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, but I think the Lions will win. But I think I think it stays closer than people think.
Yeah. Yes.
And so then, it almost feels bad talking about this, man. Giants, Cowboys. Do you care? Do I care?
I'd rather watch poopy diapers.
Yeah, it's going to be terrible. Yeah. I think. And at this point, like Drew Lock is starting for the Giants.
I mean, maybe Turpin rips off a couple cool returns.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just Who do you think wins? Let's just go with that. Winner of the game.
Who's at home?
I think it's at Dallas. I'd have to check though. I don't know.
It's at Dallas? Giants. Give me Giants. Give me Giants. They show cheeks at home.
So here's the thing, man. I think if DeVito was starting, I would pick the Cowboys. But because Drew Lock is starting, I'm going to pick the Giants.
Yeah, I think the Giants win.
Shout out Bob, man. Next one, Dolphins, Packers. This one is in Green Bay.
I think Tua
under 20 degrees it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think Tua throws for 112 yards.
Yeah. So I'm totally in agreement. I think, and if everybody who's been watching the podcast or if you've never watched the podcast before, I am not a fan of the Packers in the slightest. Yeah. I think they're a very overrated team.
What are they, 9-3 right now?
Yeah. I can't trust Jordan Love.
You know what, man? We said the same thing about Brett Favre, and he won a Super Bowl.
He did. I think it's a totally different era, though.
True.
And so and again, I don't think Jordan Love is as good as Brett Favre.
You're probably right. I mean, he's top 5 in passing yards all time, I think.
Yeah, like,
Is it top 5? I think he's top 5.
and like, whereas I'm like, when I look at Brett Favre, I'm like, he took risks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he might like see a throw and be like, I think I can get it there.
Jordan Love
throws up punts, and he's like, I just hope my receiver comes down with it.
Jordan Love is trying to escape a sack and just chuck it.
Yeah, like he'll
grenade.
falling down halfway down with the sack and tries to fucking lateral it 10 yards forward to it, and the defender's like, I'm here.
The defender's like, you just threw that 10 yards at me.
Yeah, and so it's just a different kind of gunslinger.
Yeah, he throws. When it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's like, what was that?
Look, I was talking about it with Tyler. He's a big Packers fan, right?
Yep.
And I was like, Jordan Love is going to give you. I swear, every week I see a play or a throw that Jordan Love makes, and I'm like, my God, how'd you make that throw? And then every week he gives me a throw, and I'm like, my God,
why'd you make that?
Why would you make that throw?
Yeah, no, I get it.
So
I rock with it though.
But you got to go with the Packers on this. I think with just because
if they lose,
that's an indictment.
That's bad.
Well, and that's again, I said it last week with the Bears against them. I'm like, the only way I can see the Packers losing this game is if Jordan Love gives it up. I can't see any other way they can lose.
I agree.
And then we're gonna finish it off, man. Chiefs Raiders. I'm assuming we're probably both on the same side with this, but it's a division game.
Yeah, I would say like the Chiefs, but don't be surprised if the Raiders have a chance to win the game late.
And look, it's kind of been the Chiefs' MO all year. Even with Carolina, right? Like a team where you're going in thinking like, oh, it's Carolina. Like this should be let's walk in, blow their doors off, walk out. The Chiefs just don't do it.
They don't do it. Now, if they do beat the dog crap out of the Raiders, I will say, okay, is this the turning point? Is this where they?
Look, and if there was a team that I think they would do it against,
I don't know if it would be the Raiders. Because they always play them tough.
They play them tough, but I think just with the amount of bulletin board material the Raiders have given them with the Kermit thing.
Yeah.
What's his name? The head coach for the Raiders.
Oh, Antonio?
Antonio. Yeah. Talking about, we got the recipe for him. Just all this different stuff where I'm like,
words. Yeah.
And it's I feel like Mahomes always just has a little something extra for the Raiders.
He does. He comes out a little bit spicier.
Yeah, sure. So that's why I'm like, if they were gonna blow a team out, I would say the Raiders.
I get it. Yeah.
All right, man. Look, we're gonna wrap up here. We're gonna do our top fives, and then give the underrated watch of the week that we always do, and why we think that.
Okay.
And so, you want to go first? Top five? You want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, so look, my top five, I feel like it's been mostly the same teams for the last few weeks. I got one team that's flip-flopped in. But
is this going to be in order?
In order.
Okay.
So, number one, I got the Chiefs. Again, I think they're the best team in football. The record shows they're the best team in football, best quarterback. I got to go with them. Mm-hmm. Two, I got the Lions.
Okay.
The only thing that kind of worries me with them is Goff. Everything else, and their secondary, I guess, a little bit. Sure. But three, I got the Eagles. I think with Saquon running the way he's running, tough to beat.
Okay.
Four, look, and I had the Bills. They were number 2 last week, but didn't play.
Okay.
And look, prisoner of the moment. I just got Eagles and Lions, skipped over them. And then 5, I'm going with the Vikings. I had Chargers there last week. Yeah. I thought about putting maybe the Ravens there.
Okay.
But the Ravens, I just don't know who they are. I know who the Vikings are, even with that quarterback. Mm-hmm. So that's my top 5.
Okay. A little bit different for me. I got the Lions at 1.
Okay. And you know what? I get that.
And that's not taking anything away from the Chiefs. They're still the champs, and I still think that they –
But the Lions have been
I think the Lions, they just beat the brakes out. The point differential, how they win games, how they can control the game. I got to give it to them. If they played head up, I do think the Lions win the game. Then I got the Chiefs. Obviously the Chiefs, defending champs, trying to go for a 3-peat. Then I'm going to go with the Eagles. Keep it there at 3. Then I put the Bills. Keep it there at 4. And then instead of the Vikings, I do put the Steelers in at 5.
Okay.
I put the Steelers in at 5 because I love Tomlin. And Tomlin is a coach that gives you, he pulls everything out of you.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
You all of your untapped potential, you go there and it's out there on the field, and you have an old school proven winner in Russ. It's been a while, but he has
Yeah.
won and he's been there. Then you have Pickens, who can, I mean, you talk about 50-50 balls or 90-10 for him. Yes.
Yeah.
Then you have two good running backs, a great defense. I think that, and they play in crappy weather. They can play in every game they play is close. Even if they're bad underdogs, it's close.
Yep.
And they're going to have a chance to win it.
So I'll let's stay here for a second. And we talked about this some already.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally agree. Is like, I love Tomlin as a coach. Part of the reason I don't believe in them is I feel like he pulls every ounce out of those players.
Yeah.
So I'm like, where with like I'm gonna say, I'll use the Chiefs for example. Like the Chiefs going to the playoffs, I think they have another level from what I've seen. I don't think the Steelers have another level. Like that's what they are.
I don't think. I mean, shit, 8-3. I'll take. What is it?
Look, and they've been
8-3.
Yeah, they're probably gonna win that division. And then the other thing, and we talked about this the other day, but the Russ aspect of it, of like his like play-by-play success rate is so low that they're just so dependent on like, we gotta make a big play or two.
Yeah, and it keeps happening.
It does. And look, credit them. I just think against playoff teams, and look, like you said, they play everybody close, even when they're underdogs. But the problem is, like, they play everybody close, even when they're favorites.
Yeah, and that's kind of like when you get into the playoffs, they're gonna have to win 4 games to win it all.
And it's hard to win 4 close games.
It's gonna be hard to win 4 games, but I do think they win a playoff game or 2.
I could see that.
With that type of mentality.
And look, to be honest, like at 5 Vikings, I think they win a game or 2.
Right.
I just trust that, like, they're not just like, I can get the ball to Addison, Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones on a 10-yarder, and they can take it. Like, I feel like with Russ, it's like, oh no, it's gotta be 40 air yards.
But at the same time, was it this year? It had to have been this year. Steelers have won games on all 3 levels before.
No, they do.
And the Vikings, I don't know if they do.
Yeah, very true.
I trust that the game plan on offense, defense, and special teams
is going to be solid.
Is better on the Steelers, and that wins games.
Yeah. I also do like the added dimension of, with the Steelers at least, and we saw it this last game against who'd they play?
They just lost to somebody.
Yeah, the Browns.
Yeah.
But Russ having a bad game and then being able to kind of bring in Justin Fields where he pops off a big run.
Right.
Like, it's such a change of pace for a defense when you have that. And I think if they get in the playoffs, I'm hoping, I don't know, obviously I don't know what their game plans look like, but the OC likes Justin. I think we see maybe more series with him. And even like I heard somebody else mention it, but almost using him in like a Taysom Hill fashion where it's like, bro, have him and Russ both back in the backfield and like just do some wild stuff. I think that adds an added dimension to them that is like...
I totally agree. And I think that they just, I don't know, Tomlin's a proven winner, and situationally, I like him.
Yeah.
I like him a little bit more than Kevin O'Connell.
Wow.
Situationally. Because think about it.
I feel it.
Over the course of history, Tomlin is situationally sound.
Yeah. The thing with Tomlin to me, though, too, is like, and I love him as a coach, but like, and I think it's a thing with like a lot of defensive coaches, especially like Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same thing. It's just like, and I think he even had one in the Browns game, like a timeout where I'm just like,
yeah, what was that about?
What are you doing?
True.
Like, just like mind blowing stuff where it's like Kevin O'Connell, like those offensive guys, I feel like they don't have those as much.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I think just the fact that we can have as much conversation about the 5 spot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's close.
Yeah, oh, no,
it's super close.
Like I said, I thought about putting the Ravens there. Steelers came up. I think there's, that I think the kind of top 3, kind even set, 4 is kind of like those 4 teams are like
somewhere in the
4, you can rearrange them some, but like after 4, I'm like, it's wide open, I think. And then look, let's end it. Underrated watch of the week. Do we have the same one?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
So, Jaguars, Texans.
Yeah.
You want me to go first? Why, or you want to go? I'll let you go first.
Yeah. I think the Texans got to show what they showed at the beginning of the year. It's starting to get a little loose.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to reel it back in, have a decisive win, so that way we can stop being like,
Are they good?
Right? Because at the beginning of the year, we're like, oh man,
they were Super Bowl pick. People had them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they got to get back on track. It's not. I'm not saying that they can't come back in, compete for a Super Bowl, but they need to show it.
Yeah,
and it's important that you show it before the playoffs because we've seen historically sometimes people like limp into the playoffs and get their asses kicked.
Yeah, Eagles last year. Yep, I'm well aware. I am well aware.
Like it's a thing where you need to end the season strong.
Yeah. No, so again, we got the same game. Part of it is I think I agree with you. Like we got to see something from the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
This is the part of it that intrigues me. And I don't think so. Trevor Lawrence is supposed to start.
Yep.
I think if he wasn't starting this game, this wouldn't be my watch.
No, for sure.
But the Jaguars are still alive for the playoffs.
Yeah, because that division is
because the Texans haven't pulled away, and there's the rest of their schedule is not difficult at all.
I know.
And so there's a weird world. Obviously, a lot would have to happen. Like the Texans would really have to.
Yeah, this
crumble.
is a marquee matchup. The Jags need to win this game.
If the Jags win this game, I think they're like 3 wins behind, and they might have the tiebreaker. Oh no, I think they play the Texans one more time, which would be for the tiebreaker. And so, like, if you're the Jags, you win this game, a season where you're like,
like what happened
5 weeks ago, I was on the podcast saying like, Doug Peterson probably isn't going to last too many more weeks.
Mm-hmm.
If you can go from that to, look, we can possibly still win this division.
Yeah, saved his career.
Yeah, this is a big time matchup. Mm-hmm. And I think this is, like you said, like I need to, if the Texans, if you're who we thought you were coming into the year, this is a game you can't lose.
No, not at all.
And so I think obviously Nico's back for Houston, so it's going to be exciting with that.
Hell of a receiver.
Yeah. Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence is back. He can sling the rock. Mm-hmm. So I think it could be exciting. And like I said, like just the division implications here are just so big.
I agree.
So, but no, man, any final stuff on the season, on the Thanksgiving games, anything?
Man, tell your folks you love them if you got them. That's all I got.
Perfect. We're not going to do the Thanksgiving food stuff because I feel like everybody does that.
Thanksgiving food stuff?
Yeah, where, it's like, oh, ham or turkey? What's your favorite side?
Get the fuck out of here, man.
Nah, man, look, appreciate y'all. Yeah. Like, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Not there. But no, appreciate y'all's support, man, and appreciate you coming out, man, spending the week with me.
Yep.
And look, we'll catch y'all next time.